Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. We begin tonight with the horrific police slaying in Western Queensland. Locally, Tasmania Police has lit up its state headquarters in blue and white to pay its respects. The Police Association's Colin Riley has also shown his support, describing the incident as traumatic, confronting and horrific.
It can trigger reflection on similar incidents that we've personally experienced, and it's only 2 months ago that we had 2 of our members in a marked police vehicle that were attending a family violence incident. They were shot at and the police vehicle was struck.
On social media, Tasmania Police posted their own tribute for the fallen officers. Well, to other news now, and one of Tasmania's top female GPs has spoken out on the increasing pressure bearing down on women working in the profession. With higher rates of suicide among the cohort, there's fears not enough support is being offered to those suffering from emotional burnout.
At the height of her medical career, Dr. Annette Barrett had no choice but to step away from her beloved practice.
I was a practice owner with 3 young children working in a low socioeconomic area, which I did full-time for 26 years, and I burnt out and had to walk away.
Now advocating among the ranks of the Australian Medical Association, the experienced GP is worried without intervention, more women will become increasingly deterred from entering the industry.
People don't expect doctors to get sick with their mental illness. We're seen as being the tough people. We're taking on other people's problems.
With females in the profession often taking on a more mentally fatiguing patient load.
Female doctors are in big demand and they often get a lot of the emotional problems and reproductive health problems, and so it makes their job extra challenging.
A recent move by the Commonwealth to halve the amount of subsidised psychologist sessions, placing further pressure on those who might need to reach out for support.
Now is not the time to cut services when it comes to mental health. I am deeply concerned about the cutbacks of the psychological support.
Research from the Medical Journal of Australia has demonstrated the alarming rate of suicide among female doctors, sitting at 227% higher than the general population.
If our doctors are burning out at higher rates and walking away, our system is getting more pressure on the ones who remain.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
And if you need support, you can contact Lifeline on 13 11 14. Foster parents and carers say children in out-of-home care are being put at risk. Labor says around 300 children on long-term orders are now being managed by a team instead of individual caseworkers.
Most carers, since we've had this system, just don't have anyone to go to directly, and we really need direction.
I can't imagine that any worker is going to be more enticed to remain in this sector because their workload is more manageable when they know that's putting children at risk.
A departmental spokesperson says not all children have been allocated a team. Any new or complex cases are still being given individual child safety officers with continuous monitoring. The shutdown of the Aged Care COVID Management Unit has been criticised by the Health and Community Services Union. They're concerned about the effect of the virus over coming months, saying they've been left in the dark by the Health Department.
A fourth wave is flying through Tasmania. As of last Friday, 12 aged care homes were battling outbreaks. But the Tasmania Department of Health is closing its Aged Care Emergency Operations Centre.
The public health team will always continue to work with our residential aged care facilities, providing that expert advice.
The decision drawing the ire of the Health and Community Services Union.
There's no indication from our perspective that there will be additional staff put into that unit as a result of that change.
Frustrated unions say communication has dropped off from the department, calling for more transparency.
Certainly that was as a result of increasing concerns and feedback from members in relation to staffing levels, the effect that COVID was having on the workforce, and also in terms of structural changes in terms of locations of COVID wards.
Saying they aren't being given simple information like the number of positive staff.
We know that there are a number of staff, particularly in some of the key areas like the Ambulance Communication Centre, that are affected by COVID at the moment.
But pleased that consultation will re-begin with a meeting this Friday. As we transition to living with COVID, some recent decisions haven't been widely publicised. Critics say it's a deliberate action to minimise COVID.
The level of secrecy about COVID mismanagement is next level.
A government spokesperson said the health, safety and well-being of Tasmanians has always been their priority. Public Health will continue to provide advice on COVID-19 measures. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Women in cybersecurity are calling for a more gender-diverse workforce. The Australian Women in Security Network says just 16% of the industry's workforce is female, and it's working to change that.
It's that classic stereotypical view that we're all dark hoodies and you need to be a coder, and it's really breaking that perception down.
I currently work as a graduate in the Tasmanian-owned food manufacturing company. So my role is about the IT system, data analytics and the automation.
The organisation is developing a high school program to attract young people as they're considering career options. The Tasmania University Student Association has claimed characteristics of the uni have transformed to a private business rather than a public institution in the final day of a Legislative Council inquiry into UTAS. Outgoing President Sophie Crothers claims it is due to the slashing of federal funding.
UTAS doesn't exist in a vacuum, and that a lot of the issues that have been discussed so far in this inquiry have been the result of financial, political and social influence.
Inquiry will now focus on tabling a report. A new statewide campaign has launched urging Tasmanians to take 5 minutes out of their day to think about a bushfire plan. Despite a predicted normal season, the fire service wants the community to know what to do if their homes become threatened and not wait until it's too late. A template is available online to get people thinking about how to approach an emergency situation. Australia's oldest continuously brewed beer is celebrating a major milestone with a new design exclusive to Tasmania. Cascade's long-term workers now reflecting on this sparkling pale ale's past and how it's grown over the years.
An old favourite with a fresh new look as Cascade Brewery celebrates the 190th anniversary of its sparkling pale ale. The stubbies now sporting a temporary sticker that pays tribute to the beer's history, dating back to 1832 when it was originally known as De Grave's Ale.
We had to go through the archives and we picked one of the old labels that we felt represented Cascade back in the late 1800s.
And while the formula has been tweaked since it first hit the taps,
it's a true recipe based on the old Australian pale ale design. And we use fresh mountain water and we use quality ingredients.
Particularly malt and hops that are grown locally, and that's what's been able to keep the beer a consistent beer, and a pale ale drinker knows when he's drinking our pale ale.
The pale's popularity has stayed consistent all these years.
This Cascade Pale Ale has been a staple since right from the start. It was even sent to Sydney before Sydney had breweries.
Beer connoisseurs who want to get their hands on this special design are urged to get in quick, with only 6,000 limited edition slabs being produced.
Tasmania only, it's across the whole island. There'll be independent bottle shops before Christmas and BWS and Dan's in January.
The brewery will also glow green for the next week with merchandise available at the Cascade Bar come Christmas. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
A Devonport student has been named the first national recipient of an award commending young people on being an all-rounder. Alia Dennison is being recognised for her hard work in her studies and sport.
Recognised for her many achievements in the classroom and on the field, Don College student Alia Dennison named the first national AMPOL Best All-Rounder.
I'm just so completely honoured, especially knowing that it's the inaugural year for it, so I'm the most honoured that I could ever be to be the very first recipient for it.
The Year 12 student is a nationally accomplished gymnast and an AFL umpire. She was also named the 2021 Latrobe Council Young Citizen of the Year and is anticipating a top 10% finish nationally in her Year 12 exams.
But this year is the first year where we lifted that up and took it to become both a state and then a national program.
Alia has won a laptop, a $5,000 cash grant and an Ampol gift card. Her school also receiving $5,000.
Absolutely really proud, not simply because she won this award, but just that she's maintained humility through all of her achievements.
After graduating, Alia will move to the Gold Coast for her university studies.
I'm doing a Bachelor of Biomedical Science, hopefully, and then I want to end up going into something genetic-wise.
Mark Zita, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanian Amy Smith has been selected to represent Australia in the first Under-19 Female Cricket World Cup in South Africa. The overall squad includes 8 players with domestic experience, led by head coach Sarah Ailey. The tournament starts next month.
Good evening. Hobart was the state's top at 21 today. Launceston and Devonport both reached 16 and 15 in Burnie. Bushy Park 20, Grove and Maria Island reached 18, a top of 17 for Flinders Island, drawn 13 and a top of 10 degrees at Lyowini. Cloudy and unsettled conditions continued across the state again today. Further out, cold and unstable low-level cloud wrapped around a complex area of low pressure near Tasmania, extending over the southern states throughout the day. Tomorrow, a low pressure system will linger near the northeast of the state, with a high south of the Bight extending to a ridge over most of the country. South to southeasterly winds reaching up to 35 knots in the northeast from late morning. There's a gale wind warning for the upper east coast and east of Flinders Island, and a strong wind warning for remaining waters. An initial minor flood warning has been issued for the Macquarie and South Esk rivers, and initial flood watch for the southeast and Derwent catchments. And finally, there's a sheep graziers alert for the Midlands, East Coast, Upper Derwent Valley and Southeast districts. Showers easing in Hobart and Geeveston tomorrow, a top of 13 for Bothwell. A shower or two in Launceston and Cressy, Devonport partly cloudy and 19. 16 in Burnie and a shower or two for Strawn and Curry, both reaching 15. And showers easing across the east coast with a top of 15 for St Helens and 14 in Swansea and Orford. And tomorrow's UV sits at a very high 9. Showers about the southern, central and eastern areas on Thursday, fine elsewhere. Light showers across most of the state on Friday, becoming less likely in the evening. And Saturday, light showers about the southern, central and eastern parts, mostly fine elsewhere. Partly cloudy in Sydney and Cairns tomorrow. Melbourne 15, cloudy in Adelaide and a top of 32 in Perth. And right now in Hobart it's rain and 10, Launceston 13 and Devonport breezy and 12. And Kim, a reminder, there is also a flood advice warning for the St Paul's River. It is expected to rise overnight and into tomorrow morning. Royal George and Avoca are likely to be impacted.
Okay, Victoria, thanks for the update. Well, that is all your news for now. We'll be back later. Thanks for joining us this evening. Good night.